In this video, I'm going to show you a way to create and import FreeBSD virtual machines to Amazon Web Services. Okay, let's have a look. Before we go any further, there is one important thing that I would like to mention. The method that I'm going to show is a way to import virtual machines from scratch. However, there are already pretty good virtual machines from the FreeBSD Foundation available for free as AMIs in AWS. You should be using them. This video is going to show you how you can play around a little bit with virtual machines if you want to build your own. In order to create a virtual machine for AWS, I'm going to start a terminal. I created already a directory that I called AWS demo. And in this directory, I'm going to create a subfolder called VM. Here I'm going to create a disk that is going to contain the snapshot that I'm going to import into AWS. Now I'm going to create a hard disk, which is going to be about 5 GB in size. Do not worry, later on when you deploy the machine in AWS, you can make the hard disk larger. If required. So I start with truncate. I'm going to need the 5 GB. I'm going to call it the drive.htd. And we can see here that we have a file which is 5 GB in size. Now I'm going to install FreeBSD onto this drive. And for that I'm going to use QEMU. I use QEMU system and I'm running on an AMD 64 machine, and it should match the type in AWS. It should be the type PC. I'm going to give it 4 GB of memory, and the machine is going to boot in UEFI mode. So going to select drive. A pflash with a format raw, and we need the UEFI. This is already pre-installed with the QEMU. We can find it under user local share QEMU EDK, and it will be for this architecture. And we have the code FD. So here is the UEFI code that we need. Now we need to install FreeBSD, so we need to mount a CD-ROM, which I pre-downloaded the image. I have it under ISO FreeBSD 14 for the AMD 64 machine. Let's not forget, we need to boot from the D drive, so this means from this CD-ROM. And very important for AWS, we need to create an NVMe disk. So here I'm going to attach the file that I just created, the file, the drive HDD. It's also at the format raw. Here it's going to be none for the interface, and I'm going to give it an ID of NVM. The device, it's an NVMe. This is very important. Serial dead beef, whatever. Drive is the NVM, what we gave it as an ID before. We take the option no reboot. So if the machine reboots, it should stop. Let's give it a network card. And this will have to change afterwards, but for now we want to install a couple of packages we need. netdev equals net0. The netdev user on the ID net0. And last but not the least, we're going to give it a graphical user interface, device, vert.io, GPU. Okay, this should work. Permission denied. Okay, so here one easy way to do it is just to copy this file to tg AWS demo VM chmod. We change the permissions. Sorry, chown. Yeah, that would be odd. Change mod. It's the owner that I want to change. Exit root. And this means that in this command we need to go back and we need to use the local file. And then it should be working. Aha, there we go. It's starting, it's showing something. It's a little bit slow, which is okay because QEMU is not running with the hardware acceleration. For that you should use Beehive. But it's a good and practical way to install the virtual machine. Here we can see that we have the NVMe drive here with the serial dead beef. The NDA0, this is important, has 5 GB in size. Now we select to install. And we just do a typical installation of the operating system. Here I can fast forward. Now we are asked to select a root password. Don't forget, you should select a relatively good password because this machine is going to be exposed on the internet. So let's get some password. Here, configure IPv4, use DHCP. Yes, we are going to have to change this because AWS doesn't use the same network interface card, but this is going to be really easy to change. You can do some system hardening afterwards. In this case, yes, let's install a user. Let's configure a user, sorry. Full name. The login group, we're going to add it for the time being to the wheel group. Let's just leave it like this. Configure is okay. Random password. Lock the account. Is this okay? Yes, it's okay. Add another one. No. And we can just exit the machine. Would you like to do some manual? For the time being, I'm going to say no. And just shut down the machine. Now I'm going to boot the machine again without a CD-ROM because I don't want to install the operating system again. Now the next thing we need to do is to log into the machine as root. put the root password and okay, etc rc.conf, and where we have here the em0, the em0 is not going to be the adapter name for Amazon. What they have is an elastic network adapter, so we need to change em to ENA, and this will allow to get the IP address automatically when we boot from AWS. We could have also done this directly in AWS, but I like to prepare the machines already like this. The next thing we need to do is we need to power down the machine. The next step is we need to configure the raw disk format to a VMDK format, which is accepted by AWS. We do this with a QEMU EMG, and we need to convert from a raw format to a VMDK. Very important also, they require a subformat stream optimized version. We get the drive.htd and we create a VMDK file. So the disk has now been converted. Let's have a look. And yes, we have here this 5 GB have become 700 megabytes, about so. Now in the next step, I'm going to start I'm going to log into AWS console, so aws.amazon.com, and I'm going to sign into my personal account. So now I've logged into AWS, and the first thing I need to do is I need to go to S3. I've already created an S3 bucket, which I called tg VM EMG. And here I need to upload the image that I've just created. Alright, beauty. The file has been uploaded. Let's just confirm that the file is there in the S3 bucket. There it is. Here we have the file, which is about 700 megabytes in size. The next thing that we need to do, I'm going only to show you the steps required, but I'm not going to perform them myself because I did already this in my account. To import a snapshot, you need to configure the policies for the virtual machine import. This is the other folder that I've prepared, which I called AWS, and here I'm going to look at the policy. Here, these are the commands that you need to do to execute. First, you need to create a role with the name VM import and give it a trust policy document. I'm going to show you in soon this document. Then you need also to put another policy, a decrypt policy for the role name VM import, that I'm going to call it VM import policy. And you need another JSON document which is called the decrypt policy. Then you need to attach the VM to the VM import. Here I give it administration access. As a disclaimer, I'm not an expert in AWS. I made this work, and you need to be wary about configuring roles and policies in AWS. Let's have a look at the trust policy. Here, basically, I just say, okay, you need to assume the role. So this is the document I use for the trust policy. The decrypt policy is to allow the virtual machine import to decrypt the data which is stored in the S3 bucket. Another thing that you need to do is you need to configure the serial port. For that, you can go to the EC2 and here at the end, where you see home, you can just write settings. In this case, serial console, I already clicked allow, so I'm able to access the serial console in virtual machines. As a next step, and again I've done this before, you need to do as root do as pkg install py39 AWS CLI. I've done this already before, so I don't need to install anything because this is already there. AWS, it's running. Let's go one folder back, and here I have the credential files, so I'm going to source. This you require to enable to be able to connect to the AWS API. It contains the access key ID, the secret access key, and the default region. Here I'm not showing my personal data, but you should be able to get the data for your own account. Once the credentials are configured, you need to import a snapshot. For that, again, you need another document which is called, here I create in the snapshot, I called it machine.json. Let's have a look at the document, machine.json. So it's going to give a description for the snapshot. The format should be vmdk, and in the bucket, where is it located? I put it in the tg_vm_emg bucket, and the name of the file that contains the snapshot is drive.vmk. Now we can do AWS EC2 import snapshot. We can give it again another description. My server, and the disk container is a file machine.json. Here we can see that we are importing. This takes a little bit of time, so we can have another command to understand what is the current status. AWS EC2 describe import snapshot tasks, and the parameter import task IDs, and we give the snapshot the ID of the snapshot, and we can see that we are currently at 35%. It's currently the role internally, it's being downloaded and being converted the image. At this point, we can see that the status is completed, and we have an ID for the snapshot. Now we continue in the web interface for EC2. So we go here to the EC2, and we have snapshots. Here we can find our snapshot that we just created. And here we can right click and create an image from the snapshot, an AMI image. So my image, we can also script this in with the AWS client, but I'm just going to show in the web interface. Very important, in the boot mode we created a machine with UEFI. And the other things, here you can select a larger hard disk size. The GP3 is okay. And we can just create the image. Successfully created the new image. We can go here. And now this is an AMI, a private AMI. And with this image I can start a new virtual machine in AWS. I can right click, launch an instance from AMI. I give it a name, my FreeBSD. Here is very important, we should select the instance of type D3 in order to be able to access the serial console. I'm going to say none. Here we allow SSH traffic in order to log into the machine. Here we are not able to generate a key pair because I did not install the AWS CloudInit. This is really bare bones. Let's launch the instance. And we are successfully running a new instance in AWS. How can we access the instance? We can do it in two different ways. Here in the instances, we can see that we have our machine that is currently in the status running. And we can access the serial console through the monitor. So we right click the instance, click on the monitor, and go for the option serial console. Click on connect. We had enabled this before. And here we can see that we can log into our console. Root. And lo and behold, all is going fine. We have network because I previously set the network to ENA0, Elastic Network Adapter. How can we also log into the virtual machine? If we go to the instance tab, we can see that there is a public IP address. This is newly assigned every time you start the machine. So we can copy the address, copy. So what other possibilities do we have to log into the virtual machine? We can also do it with SSH, but with a regular user that is not root. Previously I configured the user TG, so let's use that one. SSH TG at the IP address. Put a password for the user, and from here we can become root. Now, just for a demonstration purpose, let's install my favorite software, which is Vim and Midnight Commander. And as you can see, everything is working perfectly. Midnight Commander looks fine. That's all for today. If you have any questions or comments, please use the space below. Otherwise, have a nice day. Bye bye.